If you've ever tried to work with an STL, you'll know that you are given a bunch of these triangles. And I can't just select like a specific face and start sketching. So in this example, we had a client that wanted to add a light into the end piece here, except they just didn't want like a random wire hanging there, right? They wanted to hide it inside this part and create like a cavity that comes out the bottom here. I'm gonna show you how easy it actually can be to edit an STL. The first step is we need to create a reference plane. So I'm gonna click on plane, and with the STL, we're given all these points because of the triangles, right? So I go to 3 points here, and I'm gonna select my first points to be on the end of the wand there. So I've just made a plane, right? And I'm gonna make a sketch on this plane right in the middle here. And what the goal is to take this circle and sweep a path through this part. I'm gonna sweep it through like this, follow the elbow, and then curve around all the way to the bottom. It will actually be a 3D sweep. It has to turn at the arm here. It's got to go up as well and then curve back down. To achieve this is we've created a plane here with a circle, and that has a point on it. And I can create a series of these along the path that it needs to take just with dots on them, right? Maybe I've got another one that goes into the page like this, right? And that will allow me to create a swept curve that will go through the part. And then when I 3D print it, that curve can be a negative volume. That's what I'll be doing. So I've made my first one here, and then it's just repeating the process. I go plane, select my 3 points, and then I've got a plane here. And the reason that I've done this is because at this point, the reason that I've selected this point is because I need this point, this first bit, to be very straight, because that wand is very straight. And I'm just gonna go and click my point there and try and make sure that is very central, yeah? I'm gonna try and move that so it's right in the middle there, and then click OK. And just to show you what this looks like, in the search bar, I actually type in 3D fit spline. I'm gonna click that, and I get to select all these points, right? And then that's going to create a line between them. Now it's a bit hard to see because I've got this screen in the way, the actual STL's in the way. So what I have to do is right click on my part, my STL, go edit appearance, and then make this translucent. See that? Now I can see my spline on the inside, which is what I just created by clicking on those 2 points. It's called 3D fit spline in Onshape. This is the parametric software that we're using. And if I had more points there, I can keep creating it. So let's do that now. So I'll hide my 3D fit spline, and then I'm gonna keep going. So I'm gonna make another plane, and I'm gonna look for where does it change direction the most next. So it kind of goes straight for a little bit more and then curves up at the hand here. So I'm gonna try and make a plane that is around the wrist there, like that. So it's curved up a little bit, or maybe that's not the right point there. So let me reselect that. Maybe a bit more on this angle. I'm trying to actually get the angle change here. So it's not quite there either. If I want to see the edges again, I can go shaded with edges, and I can actually look at those points. And it's just going to depend on visually what you like more, but I like to hide them. All right, there we go. Now I've got a bit of that change in angle there. See that? So now when I draw my point, and that spline is going to move upwards now. So I'm going to click on that and go sketch, and then I just got to create one more point. And I've got to try and make it right in the middle of the wrist. Yeah, that's going to keep it in the center there. Yep, so that looks good. And now if I go back to my spline, I can click on that point, it'll add it to the list, right? It's like adding them. So there you go, it's starting to form this spline. Now it's just repeating this process until I get all the way to the end. Now, you can actually add multiple points to each plane or to each sketch. So once we get to the middle here, we can just put 1, 2, 3 points and it'll go all the way down. So we only have maybe 2 more sketches to go. So I'll go plane, I'm gonna do this one here, click OK. Now I can sketch on this and put my point right in the base of the elbow. Try and make sure it's inside the volume. And I can put my 3D spline there and update it. There we go. Now it probably has to come across a little bit more towards the middle. I've clicked on the shoulder here, and you can see now I'm gonna take that right angle. It's gonna turn around. So hit sketch on this. And now I'm like looking at it from this side because I want that curve to come towards that plane. So I've got to look at it on this angle, and I might even make it come up a little bit. So I can come over that kind of armpit there, and then click OK. And again, we move this downwards. I'm going to click on that. You can see now it's come up there. Awesome. Now this last plane, I can actually just offset it. I'm going to make it in the middle of Voldemort's chest, and then click OK. And what we're actually going to do with this one is move it we're going to do a few dot points, a few points all the way down to take it right to the bottom. So I'm going to click on sketch. And if I want to see the plane from perpendicular, I can right click and go view normal to sketch plane. So now I can see if I take it here and then go down right in line with it here and then here, it's going to give me 3 points. It's going to come all the way down through the base. So now if I add them to my spline, we'll be done with our curve, right? We've made our curve that comes out of the part from the entry point here. The only other thing that we have to do is we've got to make sure that this circle, this first circle that we drew here, is right in the center of this curve, right? And then we use this sweep command. So we're going to sweep this circle, which is the sketch one. So I'm going to click on that. And then the sweep path is actually this spline that we've just made. And you won't be able to select it through the STL. So you've got to come to here and select the bottom there. Or you can hide your STL and then select it. All right. And because this is a sweep, it's trying to add it to this STL. We actually want a new part, or we could even just remove it. We just click remove and it'll create a hole through that part. See there? Now it's made a hole around this. And just to make that point very clear, if I click on new, it'll change the color of this part and you can see that it's actually made that part all the way through. Now I actually don't mind leaving this as a new part because when we go to 3D print it, I can select on both of my parts there, export them, and then the actual cylinder that's been swept through space, I can change that type to a negative volume. So I'll show you what that means. I'll drag this into here and you can see I got my original Voldemort there, go into here. And if I hit separate to parts, you can see that I've got this part here, right? Which is an actual part. So if I slice that, that will actually print, right? I don't want that. I actually want to change this to a negative part. And now that it's changed that, it's dropped it down. You can see that the actual hole comes out the bottom there. Then I can hit preview. Now it's slicing and we'll be able to see that we'll actually get an internal hole. So here it's sliced it. And if I scroll down, you can see I've got this tiny little internal hole. It sweeps all through the arm here. How cool is that? That's how you add negative volumes internally to STLs.